This video will demonstrate how to set up pop-up phrases, how to associate them with particular items so that they are available for use when appropriate, and how to use them. Pop-up phrases can be managed and edited from the Manage Phrases tab of the settings. This console is used to manage stored phrases and pop-up phrases. You can also access this console directly from the item description form while working on a report, so I'll go and open a particular report now before continuing to demonstrate how it can be used. Pop-up phrases are represented by the items in green in this quick selection palette on the left, and standard stored phrases are in blue. In brief, while standard stored phrases simply enter the text that you see, pop-up phrases will open the vocabulary menus below in a pre-specified order for you to make selections, and they also offer the ability to automatically insert any specified text between your vocabulary selections. Just like stored phrases, pop-up phrases must be categorized as either descriptions or comments. Supposing in this instance we wish to enter a comment for the door, and we thought it would be worthwhile setting up a new pop-up phrase for commenting on this item, we could access the Phrase and Pop-up Phrase Manager simply by clicking on the pencil icon above the quick selection palette. On doing so, note that the phrases are automatically selected, so if we wish to add, edit or assign a pop-up phrase, we must manually select this option. You will note that all the items in the database are listed in the left-hand column, and all the pop-up phrases are currently shown in the right-hand palette. The pop-up phrases that are ticked are the ones which will be available for selection while the item currently highlighted is being commented on. To add a new pop-up phrase, just click the plus icon below. And the auto phrase creation form will be opened. First, give the phrase a title. This will be the name that you will select to open the pop-up phrase. In most cases, I stick to giving some indication of the menus it will open, but the name can be anything you choose. Next, select the menus that you wish to appear on opening the pop-up phrase in the appropriate order. To do this, either drag the menus into the box below, or simply double-click on the menu in question. Note that you could also directly insert text into the phrase breakdown field below, and on using the pop-up phrase, that text will be automatically entered at the position specified. Finally, ensure that the choice of comment or description is as desired, and then click OK. As you can see, the pop-up phrase has now been listed. If we wish to associate it with a particular item, we can just tick the checkbox while we have the item in question highlighted on the left. Now select OK to return to editing the report. And as you can see, the new pop-up phrase is available while we are commenting on the door item as expected. To trigger the pop-up phrase, I just click on it once. And as expected, the first menu we specified, in this case the damage menu, pops up. Note the instructions at the bottom. Hit values to select them. To move to the next menu, hit a value just selected again, so double-clicking any value will move you to the next menu, or just hit next. To skip a menu without entering any data from it, just select next without selecting any values. If you select OK, the pop-up phrase will be closed and only what you have selected up to that point will be entered. To cancel, in other words to close without entering any text at any point, just close the form by clicking on the X icon to the top right. Notice that you can always glance at the progress in the top bar if desired. After selecting values from the last menu, the pop-up phrase is closed automatically and the text selected is entered. Now if I go to comment on the next item, you will note that the pop-up phrase I recently created is not displayed for selection. This is because we did not associate the pop-up phrase with the floor item. If we return to the Phrase Manager, at any time you can assign any phrase or pop-up phrase to multiple items or even assign it to all items. If we wish to assign it to multiple items and we tick the button currently highlighted, we can specify an unlimited number of items using the Select Item form which would open. However, assuming we thought the pop-up phrase in question was universally useful and therefore worth assigning to every item in the database, we would just make sure the pop-up phrase was highlighted and then select Assign Selected Pop-up Phrase to all items. Once the pop-up phrase has been assigned to all items, obviously the checkbox will now show as selected not only for the floor item, but for whatever item I choose to select on the left. Now I'll use this pop-up phrase one more time. Notice that on selecting multiple values from most menus, the word and where necessary appropriate punctuation, is automatically added between selections. For instance, as you can see above, the word and was entered between chips and dents. The only exception is for selections from the position or item type menus, because you may fairly frequently wish to add more than one term from either of those menus straight after the other. For instance, with this Add Position menu, I could select